half of all Latinos think of themselves as white. Now, that's different from how many whites think Latinos are white, but half of all Latinos think they're white.
You will never be white. As much as you, a fellow Latino, wants to be in proximity to whiteness, you will never be white. You will never be chosen in that way. As much as you think that you are better than
the Black community was right. And they've always been right. And if we could push aside, we, the Latino community, we could push aside our racism, our colorism, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here because they have been warning us about what's going on, and your empathy was not there for the Black community. It wasn't. So now that it's happening to us, now you get it. Now you see where they're coming from. Now you see the similarities. And I really hope that there comes a time where my people truly wake up, because the Black community is fucking strong. They're smart. They have learned their history. And they tried to tell us. They tried to teach us. Black women have tried to tell us. 92%ers tried to fucking tell us. Granted, I listened. My ears were open. But a lot of my Latino community was like, okay. And I truly hope that, yes, it sucks that we are here and that things are so ugly. But I hope that we are learning and we're growing. And it's okay to be wrong and to admit it and to try to do better next time. Next time we vote, next time something happens to somebody who is part of the Black community, because now we know what the fuck it feels like.
Hi, my name is Leandro. You guys might know me by this video. And I just want to say something to the Latino population who keeps coming to TikTok and saying, no, calling out Americans, and specifically Black Americans, and being like, why aren't you guys standing up for us? We did it in Black Lives Movement. As an Afro-Latino, myself, we have to hold accountability for our actions. 60% of our people voted for that guy, voted for these deportations. Many of your family members voted for this guy, even though they knew you were maybe LGBTQ, maybe you were trans, maybe you had HIV, maybe you depended on scholarships because now he wants to get rid of the board of education, went to public school, right, were undocumented, right? All of these reasons, knowing this guy is literally the representation of white supremacy. The KKK supported this guy. He released the Project 2025 a whole year before the election. And we sat down, we told you what was gonna happen, and you still chose this guy. Okay? Just because he has conservative beliefs, the ones that your grandma and your parents were taught in Latin America, how did that work out for us? How much family trauma do we have for these conservative beliefs in South America and Latin America? A lot, right? A lot. So anytime we speak about liberalism, everybody should have access to healthcare. Everybody, should not be able to be discriminated against based on the color of his skin or his race, even if they have the same qualifications as their white counterpart. Like, is that so wrong? Is that so wrong? I don't think so. But going back to the main topic of Latinos asking Black Americans to stand up for them and help them, and Black Americans are like, you chose that, that is your battle. I approve that message. I approve it. I know I might get flagged for saying this, but it's true. As Latinos, we need to take accountability for our actions. And yes, not all of us voted for that guy, but we need to address the ones that did, call them out, and correct, and revalue ourselves.
Now, this is what proximity to whiteness looks like in its true color. If you look at this moment very carefully, when America is now in turmoil, for the first time in modern American history, white America itself is panicking. the core of the system, like white comfort, white protection, white privilege is shaking. And now everybody's crying, especially those that, those that are, thought they were close to whiteness. And what is fascinating is that once white people started crying, suddenly everybody else started now exposing themselves. Now, in this case, the Latinos are now coming out in public on social media in videos, and they are calling out their own community, and they're saying what Black Americans have been saying for many years, and they are basically saying that Black people were right, because now that the storm they voted for, yeah, that's very important, that they voted for has arrived at their doorstep, they kind of are asking for unity, and that's what I call unity for convenience. But really, history doesn't work like that. So let's continue to watch these videos. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment, and I'll see you with more commentary.
If it's one thing I learned, it's that Latinos with identity issues identifying as white are the most racist, hateful people, and you cannot have any empathy towards them because they are straight up rude. They do not like the fact that you like yourself and do whatever they can to make you feel like them. They try to break you down so you can hate yourself too. So don't play nice.
As a Latina woman, I will never understand the need to have a proximity to whiteness in the Latino community. First of all, colorism is absolutely rampant no matter where you go with Latinos. I grew up with it. One time when I was little, I came back from Cancun and I had like a tan, and my grandma made me start scrubbing myself so that I could get rid of that tan. On top of that, I've been told by both my grandmas that I need to mejorar la raza. But I was dating my ex, who was very morenito. I got into a really big fight with my aunt because she was like, Kelly, don't you want somebody with colored eyes? Don't you want somebody with lighter skin? What about your kids? Your kids are gonna come out dark. And like, my sister is like 5 shades darker than me. That was one of the biggest fights my aunt and I got into because, my sister, my everything. And if my sister ever at any point begins to feel insecure about her skin color because our family members can't keep their fucking bullshit to themselves. And I've had to have the talk with my sister, who's a lot darker than I am, about the fact that there are going to be people out there that do not like her simply because of her skin color. And it is so difficult to try to explain why that is to a child. Luckily, we live in a Latino community, so it's purely Latinos everywhere, and they're like all the same color as her. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me sad to have this conversation with her. My grandma always used to tell me to marry or date a white man because they're going to take care of me and make sure that I'm like, set for life. But at the end of the day, like, both the kids that married white men, one of them has to deal with racism from extended family members who say that she's only with him because of his money. My other aunt, she's married to a bigot and has become a bigot herself.
Latinos, doesn't matter where you are, Mexico, Cubanos, Argentina, everything, any kind of Latino you can possibly think of, always have thought that the lighter skin you are, the closest to proximity of white that you can be. And the unfortunate part is most Cubans are light-skinned, so they always think that they get a free fucking pass because they're somehow light-skinned enough, but they're never white-skinned enough. And not to mention that Cuba was a fucking dictatorship country, so it makes perfect sense that they want some fascist leader to go ahead and run the country. And not to mention they were colonized by Spain, and they have colorism like a motherfucker. And the internalized racism that they have, because Afro-Cubanos will literally say that they are white without like hesitating at all. I mean, I lived in New York for a very long time, and the Cubanos who think that they're literally white are fascinating to me because they literally feel as if they are the exception to the rule, but yet they do not know that obviously they were enslaved by Spain, and that they're not only Latino, but most of them are Afro-Cubanos or Afro-Latinos. So like, it's just fucking wild. That's why.
Latinos have never needed Black Americans to force their racial biases on us. We have our own. We have been anti-Black, all by ourselves. Latinos have been colorists, all by themselves. Latinos have been racist, all by themselves, way before they come to America, way before they ever have contact with Black Americans. You know what the difference is? Normalized forms of racism, colorism, and anti-Blackness. What's normal amongst people in our culture, what's hush-hush, what's swept under the rug or not dealt with or just accepted, doesn't fly with Black Americans. And you just don't like the fact that a Black American will call you out on it. because it's not normal. And it shouldn't be accepted, and it shouldn't be okay. So when you have people in your own community letting you know that they've been hurt or traumatized or discriminated by people in our own community, family members even, you need to listen instead of deflecting. Because this comment right here is a total and complete cop-out. It's straight up deflection. And it is a bold-faced lie.
To the Latinos that voted for him, you will never, and I repeat, never be white. You will never be accepted as one of them, and you certainly are not exempt from the racism that is this racist-ass regime. When that lady put in her post, alligators' lives matter, and she mentioned a number, that number being 65 million. Do you know how many Latinos are in the United States? Approximately 65 million, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Approximately 60 plus million people. So guess what? They weren't just talking about the illegal immigrants, because data actually says that there are 10 to about 12 illegal, undocumented folks in the United States. They're talking about you. They're talking about people like us, because we are not exempt from the racism that is rooted in what these people believe in, and frankly, the foundation of this country that was built on the stealing of land from indigenous people by immigrants that came here from Europe. So when you think that you are better than an immigrant because your family came here the right way, remember that this land was actually stolen from day one. So when you think that you are better because you're second generation or third generation because you've been an American for a longer amount of time, I hope that you never have to experience a time where you have to flee a country for your own safety or that of your family. So when you think that you are somehow not going to be affected by any of this, when you think that you don't have to care, what happens if you are next? What happens if it's someone that you personally know? And I know already, because we've seen it. We've seen the clips of people that supported him, diehard supporters that are now crying on the news because their family members are getting deported and they thought that they would never be impacted. You see, in this country, so many people lack empathy. They are unwilling or somehow unable to think beyond themselves, and then we run into these situations. Wake up. The proximity to whiteness isn't serving you, and it's not serving the community. You have to recognize what is happening, because ultimately, they're not just going after criminals. And all of this is connected to so many things that impact our community and frankly are holding us back, like anti-blackness and colorism and internalized racism. And if you think that these are woke words, look them up and you will realize what exists, what has existed in our community for a very long time. And I say all of this because there are so many people that have fallen to the false prophets of the world, and I need us as a community to come together and wake up.
Why is nobody else protesting with us? We're not the only immigrants. Latinos are not the only immigrants. There's Europeans, there's from Africa, there's from Asia, there's from all over. Where are you guys at? Why are your people not standing with us? I know you don't want to call it upon you guys, but why are we alone in this? Go look at the videos of the protests that are going on. We are fucking alone. It's all brown-skinned people. Where are all the other races? You guys post all these fucking videos about it, but you guys ain't doing nothing with us. Where are you guys? Why are we alone? We support everything when it comes to you guys. We are always there for you. And this is why we Latinos are just different. We're different in everything. We're different the way we work. We're different with our morals. We're just different. I think this is why we're so hated, because nobody will ever be like us, because we are always there when people need us. But look at right now. We're so fucking alone, and we're still fucking standing strong. I think I've never been so proud of being a fucking immigrant Latina in the USA. We're fucking amazing. We're fucking amazing.
I am so sick of watching Black Americans sit there and advise their people not to support the immigration movement that's going on across the entire United States.
We already provided you guys
with a whole amazing woman. Donald Trump, I don't know if you heard about the budget bill that increased the US debt by $3 trillion, taking away from working class people. Okay, this is the chart here. You see 90% of US income earners are not seeing a dime of that money. It was for the billionaires. And on top of that, FEMA's cut. You got ICE agents and masks coming to yoink people up. Whereas you had Kamala Harris, this whole amazing woman who was going to extend a child tax credit to people with children, who was going to extend a credit to people who had elderly family members in the home as well as children, who was going to extend a subsidy, a tax credit on first-time home buyers of $20,000. So black people already helped you. Sorry.
Latinos in the United States have not earned the support of black people for us to be demanding, oh yeah, why aren't they coming out to protest with us? Why aren't they engaging in activism with us? Because we haven't earned it at all, in the slightest. Or did you guys forget that 46% of all eligible Latino voters voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election? Or how about the fact that racism, anti-blackness, colorism, all of these things are still very much pervasive in our communities? Bro, Latinos haven't even reconciled with the fact that they can't use the N-word unless they're also black themselves, because Afro-Latinos exist. Oh, and if we're talking about Miami, oof, you'll see the whitest MAGA Latinos be like, bro, but I grew up in the hood. I grew up around black people. In Overtown or in Liberty City, I could say it, bro. No one's going to stop me from saying it. It's my right. I'm not racist. I have a black friend. We haven't even gotten over that. And we want black people to go to protest with us, to engage in activism with us, putting their lives, their freedom, their bodies on the line? No. I completely understand any black person that wants to just disengage, disregard us. I get it, guys. I really, really do. And we, as Latinos, as a collective, should not be harboring resentment against black people, criticizing them, getting angry at them, questioning them. No. No. Because we've earned this. They are completely justified in feeling the way they feel and doing what they're doing. Now, I would like to give a message to the black folks watching this video. You are completely justified in your feelings and in doing what you're doing, and I respect it. But please remember that black folks are also being affected by this persecution of undocumented migrants. And I feel like that's not talked about enough either. Here, Miami, Florida is the best example. Haitians, Jamaicans, Bahamians, Afro-Cubans, Afro-Hondurans, Garifunas, black people from all over Latin America and all over the world, Africans, just so many black people that are also undocumented that are really being affected by the persecution of this administration. And of course, much like any other entity in space, black folks in immigration detention centers, in the immigration system, are treated worse than their white, Latino, Asian counterparts. So it's really important to acknowledge that and just let you guys know. But yeah, Latinos, we need to tighten up. If you guys want the support of the black community, then earn it. Demonstrate that we can solve these issues of racism in our own communities, and please stop saying the N-word. If you're not black, don't say the N-word. It's really simple.
You just don't like the boldness of how black Americans deal with racism. Normalized anti-blackness is not a value. Normalized colorism is not a value. Sweeping things under the rug and not talking about them, that's not a cultural value. It's not. Yet it's something that you seek to covet and put above black Americans. You need to stop pitting Latinos against black Americans and recognize that the root cause of all of the issues we have across all of our communities is white supremacy. Recognize how white supremacy has operated in your own life and how it has afforded you white privilege as a white presenting Latino and given you a life experience that more black presenting Latinos cannot identify with. And stop propagating the lie and the myth that we don't care about race and there's no racism amongst us, because if that were the case, we would not be having this discussion.
You will never be white. As much as you, a fellow Latino, wants to be in proximity to whiteness, you will never be white. You will never be chosen in that way. As much as you think that you are better than undocumented Latinos because your family came here the right way, or because you're second generation or third generation, or because you either forgot or unaware of the foundation of this country and the fact that immigrants from Europe came here, stole the land from indigenous people, and then literally stole people, and forced them to be slaves, forced them to do labor. So when you think that you want to be in proximity to whiteness because you consider yourself better, think about that. Think about that there is internalized racism in our own community, how there is anti-blackness in our own community, how there is colorism in our own community. Think about those things, because no human being is better than the other because they think that because they have papers that they are better than another human being. A human being is a human being. There is no alien. There is no illegal when it comes to the world, okay? So let me remind you that you will never be white.
Half of all Latinos think of themselves as white. Now, that's different from how many whites think Latinos are white, but half of all Latinos think they're white. And when you look at the census numbers, and if the census includes among whites, not just non-Hispanic whites, but Hispanic whites, then in 2043, what will be the percentage of the white population in the country? We're 65% now. What will it be in 2043 if you include Latinos? 72%. If, over the next 30 years, a significant segment of the Latino population comes to be accepted as whites, we may be in the midst of a historic expansion of white identity, not a move to whites as a minority in this country. And believe me, the Republicans / Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio understand this, right? And this is why it's so important to understand this is not about racism. They don't care if they win votes by bringing in Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Herman Cain. They don't care. They care about winning. They care about power. And if dog whistle politics can succeed by wrapping in new groups who can be made racially anxious, that's exactly what it'll do.
All right, so let's slow this down a little bit because this part really matters. You know, for months now, we've been hearing Latinos, especially online, saying, why aren't Black people, why are they not standing with us? Why aren't Black people not protesting deportations and ICE, ICE raids and so on and so forth? Why aren't Black people not showing solidarity? But here's the uncomfortable truth that, they're now admitting by themselves that about 60% of Latinos voted for this administration. So they voted for their own, they voted against their own interest. They voted for their own problems. And now they are now they are shocked that the system that they empowered is brutalizing them, detaining them, deporting them, and basically harassing them, doing everything it could to them. And when Black Americans say, wait, we warned all of you about this, suddenly it's treated like it's betrayal. But is it really betrayal if someone told you not to do this and you went ahead to do it? And so now that they don't want to be part of you in your problems that they warned you against, you think it's betrayal? No, it's memory. So unity does not start when consequences arrive. And this is what I say. You do not get to mock Black political consciousness for years, dismissing Black people and Black warnings, and you align yourself with whiteness and white people. And then when the fire reaches your own house, you start to shout minority unity. That's not solidarity. That's panic. That's using people for convenience. And the reason this moment is important is because Latinos themselves, some of them are now coming out to say what was probably once more like a taboo in their own community, that their biggest problem in their own community is colorism. And that's the truth. So let's talk about colorism and proximity to whiteness in the Latino community. And let's just say it plainly. Within the Latino community itself, whiter skin is always, it means higher status, Being closer to whiteness meant that you are more accepted, more opportunity, more safety. And darker skinned Latinos, like Afro Latinos in particular, were once treated as disposable, lower status, They are mocked, they are marginalized, they are looked down on. And many Latinos voted for this regime. Let's just accept that. They need to accept that because they believed that maybe they were not like Black people. or maybe they thought because they were closer to white people. But that illusion is now collapsing. White people themselves are crying because of the same regime. How about you, that you're not white, you think you're closer to whiteness? Because whiteness doesn't care how close you think you are to them. That's white supremacy for you. So the storm really doesn't check skin tones. That's what we are realizing from this situation. The system doesn't ask, are you a lighter skinned Latino, or are you Afro Latino, or are you not like other immigrants, for example? No. Authoritarian power, once it expands, it consumes everybody, everyone, even those that empowered it. So this moment is powerful because it's not because Latinos are being targeted, but because many of them are actually coming out to be honest, and they're saying, let's stop pretending that this is about minorities. Most of us voted for this regime. We need to face our own, demons. And this level of honesty is rare. And Black Americans aren't silent because they don't care about other people suffering, really. They're silent because they remember being mocked for voting strategically, being looked down on for voting to protect everyone else's interest, but nobody thought that that was the point. Being told that they were exaggerating racism, that they are always playing the race card. Black people learned the hard way that proximity to whiteness, any day, anytime, anywhere, is a big trap. So really, when you see other people, when they see other people falling into that same trap, they don't rush to clean up the mess. Really, they just say, we warned you against this, but you didn't listen. It's not cruelty. It's not that they don't care. It's just political memory, really, yeah? So real solidarity really starts internally. And this is why I actually respect what some Latinos are doing right now. And they are saying that they need to first deal with colorism inside their own communities. They are saying, let's stop pretending that lighter skin equals superiority or equals privilege. Let's stop throwing Black people under the bus just to feel closer to white people, or just to feel closer to white acceptance, because without that internal reckoning amongst themselves, every call for unity is just a temporary survival instinct purely. So this moment is not about blaming, it's about clarity. Amongst all the people that are panicking, Black Americans aren't obligated really to save everybody else from their own choices, and especially that they warned them against. So real unity doesn't start when fear arrives. It actually starts when honesty is the point of discussion. For the first time, some people are finally coming out to even tell the truth. Even in the Latino community, they themselves are holding each other accountable. And I think that is the moment that really matters. First of all, clean up your own house before trying to invite other people, before trying to blame other people, while all the problems lie from within your own community. Yeah. So really, this moment that we are seeing happen with the Latino community is very interesting, but it's a moment where everybody else is waking up, because now the core of what America has always been is now shaking. White Americans themselves are crying. So it means everybody else who thought proximity was better is definitely also in hot soup. Now let's continue to watch really as things turn out, and that's just my take on this video. Do share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave me a comment and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe to the channel.